Do you hate passwords? Here's a little secret. So do cybersecurity experts. Hi, I'm Danny from FCCU, and welcome to another Tech Tip Tuesday, where we show you how to use our technology at FCCU, as well as some advice on how to stay safe in the digital world. Imagine today's video like one of those scared straight documentaries you used to watch in health class.
Stop it. Get some help.
Today we're going to talk about why I hate passwords and why you should hate passwords and what we can do to make them just a little better because we're stuck with them. Passwords are the weakest, most ineffective form of cybersecurity. Passwords can be guessed, shared, and stolen. If someone has your password, there's no extra form of verification. They're in. Want to freak yourself out? Go to haveibeenpwned.com and see how many times your email address has been found in a data breach. Personally, I've been pwned on 6 recent breaches, which includes the Collection 1 data breach in January, which found over 1 billion email and password combinations. There's a confusing debate going on in the cybersecurity world on what password best practices should look like, which makes it hard to know if you're even doing this password thing right in the first place. I recently came across the somewhat new NIST password guidelines that question almost everything I've ever learned about password security. Am I being a little dramatic? Probably. Upon further investigation, I learned that not all cybersecurity experts agree on these guidelines. I cross-referenced cybersecurity articles and proposed guidelines with the IT professionals at FCCU, whom I would trust with my firstborn child, if that child were a Tamagotchi, and we came up with 7 password tips for you. Number 1, ditch passwords and use passphrases. This XKCD comic lays out the point well, so let's break it down. The first panel describes traditional password creation, using a mixture of capital letters, numbers, symbols, and avoiding dictionary words at all costs. The second panel discusses bits of entropy, which in this case refers to the unpredictability of the password and how difficult it would be for a system to crack it. The result is a password that's easy for an algorithm to crack and difficult for you to remember. This may lead you to write it down, which is another way passwords become a weaker form of security. The comic presents a new idea in panel 4. A passphrase. This passphrase includes 4 seemingly random dictionary words, which happen to have 44 bits of entropy compared to the 28 in the previous panel. Piano. The result is a password that is harder for an algorithm to crack and easier for you to remember. Check out howsecureismypassword.net to see how strong your passwords are and how long it would take a computer to brute force crack it. I have a few caveats to make about this type of password creation and further tips, so don't take it as gospel quite yet. Number 2, the longer the password, the better. This almost sounds counterproductive to our last point because longer passwords are harder to remember. But if you use the passphrase method, it's actually easier to add length to your password. Aim for at least 8 to 10 characters, but feel free to use more if you're comfortable. Our last example was 25 characters long and not that hard to remember. Number 3, continue varying case, numbers, and symbols. Feel free to continue adding in uppercase letters, numbers, and symbols to add complexity, but not so much that you're going to forget your password. Again, remember that there is still much debate on password standards. While some experts want to ditch character complexity altogether, many still advocate for it. Most websites will still require complexity in their password requirements anyways. Number 4, don't reuse your password.
Stop it.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and Josh Peck made the joke, hit like if you reuse your password all the time. I wanted to scream, you can't do this to me, Josh.
Headaches! You give me headaches!
If someone got your password for one of your accounts, they now have your password for all of your accounts. That's common sense. Now imagine if you use the same password between your personal and your work accounts. Now you're putting your organization and your career at risk. Just something to think about. One of my later tips will help you avoid reusing passwords. Number 5, change your password often, but not too often. This tip is directly related to how easy it is to remember your password. If you change your password too often, you're more likely to write it down. Traditionally, 60 to 90 days was the standard for creating a new password. Now, some experts are suggesting stretching it 6 months to a year. One big caveat about changing your password is this. There is a high likelihood that your password somewhere at some point on some website has already been breached and it's sitting in a file on a hacking website. Changing your password ensures that the password that's already been stolen is useless to the hackers. Again, this topic is completely convoluted and we're just learning to swim here. Number 6, wherever possible, use two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is a subset of multi-factor authentication. It is a method of confirming users' claimed identities by using a combination of 2 different factors. Something they know, like a password, something they have, like a hardware or software token, or something they are, like biometrics. There are many forms of multi-factor authentication, like a text code, an email code, an app code, key fob, and fingerprint scanner, etc. The stronger the factor, the more expensive it is to implement. If I had my way, everyone would have a fingerprint scanner, but that's just not practical for most individuals and businesses. The moral of this tip is, if two-factor or multi-factor authentication is offered, set it up. My favorite multi-factor authentication app is Google Authenticator. I'll leave a link in the description. And number 7, consider using a password manager. The difficulty of not reusing passwords is remembering all of them. Using a password manager can help you safely store all of your passwords in one place. You only need to remember one master password for most password management systems, so be sure to use all these tips when you're crafting it, and make sure to use two-factor authentication. I'll leave links in the description to reputable password management tools. I want to mention one last thing that I am not considering a tip. Many people write down passwords, and many of them are never going to stop. While I would never advocate for making writing down passwords a habit, I would suggest keeping those passwords in a locked drawer or a safe. Thank you so much for watching. Brevity is not my strong suit. I hope you found value in these password tips, and I hope you can help your friends, family, and coworkers improve their password security. I've been Danny from FCCU. Be sure to like this video, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.